Come, sit down. Let me tell you something. The most dangerous lies are not the ones people tell to their enemies. The most dangerous lies are the ones a person tells to themselves quietly every morning while they are getting ready for church. This is the story of Ada, a Lagos woman, a church woman, a wife and mother of two beautiful girls, and for 6 whole years, this woman was living 2 complete lives, 2 different worlds. Every Sunday morning, she would press her lace, put on her gold earrings, carry her Bible, and walk through those church doors like everything was fine. Like God was not watching. Come, let me tell you how it started and how it ended. Because the ending is not what you think. Now, before you judge Ada, hear me first. James, her husband, was a good man, not wicked, not chasing other women, a quiet, decent civil engineer, the kind of man who prays before he eats and fixes things around the house without being asked. This is not a story of a woman running from something bad. That is what makes it complicated. Ada had married James at 25. For the first few years, she was happy, the quiet kind of happy that doesn't shout. It just sits with you and keeps you warm. But by 30, something started shifting. She couldn't explain it, just a restlessness, like she had walked into a life and closed the door before she finished looking. Round, she had never once sat still and asked herself, what do I want? That question, that one unanswered question, that was the crack, and cracks don't stay small, they spread. She met Adam at a business conference on Victoria Island, a Friday in April. An ordinary day. Nothing about that morning told Ada her life was about to split into before and after. Adam was charming, the way certain men are charming when they have learned exactly how to make a woman feel like the most interesting person in the room. He asked real questions. He listened, and when the conference ended, he sent her a message the next day, nothing inappropriate, just a reference to something she had said about a book. She responded. He responded, and that is how it starts, not with something big and dramatic, with something small. A message, a reply, a small door left open just a little bit. Adam called her Ada, just Ada. She said it felt like a different version of herself, freer, lighter. Meanwhile, back in Lekki, James was coming home to dinner. Every evening, Ada was leading women's fellowship on Saturday mornings, praying with her daughters at night, ironing James's shirts on Sunday. She was 2 women living in one body, and she told herself she was managing. There is a scripture, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No one can serve 2 masters. Ada knew this scripture. She had taught it. She had underlined it in 3 different Bibles. And still she looked at her life and said that verse is for other people. That is the thing about self-deception. It is very comfortable, until it isn't. Children always know. They don't know the details, but they feel when a parent's attention has gone somewhere else. Ada's older daughter started having nightmares, started wetting the bed, something she had not done since she was a baby. The teacher sent a note home. Has anything changed at home? Ada read that note at the school gate, put it in her handbag, told James the child was probably just adjusting to the new school term, and she believed herself as she said it. She was not even lying to James anymore. She was lying to herself first, then passing the lie on. Now the church. This is the part I want you to understand. Ada did not stop praying. She kept going to church, kept her Bible open on the kitchen counter, but her prayers had become something else entirely. She was praying that nobody would find out, praying for protection over her secret, and in the silence after those prayers. Where peace is supposed to come, there was nothing, because you cannot confess to a God you are still hiding from. That is not prayer, my people. That is negotiation, and God does not negotiate. One evening, Adam called her and said, Ada, I need you to choose. I feel like somebody's secret and I am tired of it. She sat in a hotel bathroom in a hotel she had told James was a work trip, sat on the cold tile floor, phone in her hand, unable to answer. She thought about James, about her daughter's nightmares, about the women in her fellowship who looked at her every Saturday like she had answers they were still searching for. She got up, washed her face, and said nothing definitive to either world. These things never end the way you expect. It was a Sunday evening. Ada had told James she was at a ministry dinner. She was in Ikoyi with Adam. Back at home, their younger daughter fell sick. James called Ada's phone. Voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. He went looking for her backup phone, an old one she kept for emergencies. He found it in a makeup bag at the bottom of the wardrobe. James is a man who prays before he acts. So he sat on the edge of that bed and held that phone for a long time before he opened it. What was inside was not just messages from another man. It was an entire world, a different name, a version of his wife he had never met. Ada came home at 10 o'clock. James was at the dining table, not shouting, not pacing, just sitting very still with that phone in front of him. He said 3 quiet words, "Sit down, Ada." And then please. She said that please broke her completely. If he had shouted, she could have handled it. But that please from a man she had been betraying for 6 years, that was too much. He asked her one question. How long? She told him the truth. 6 years. He nodded slowly, stood up, picked up his Bible, walked to the guest room, and closed the door. He did not slam it. A slammed door means there is still fight, still heat, still something unfinished. A quietly closed door means a man has understood something and has nothing left to argue about. Ada sat alone at that dining table until almost 2 in the morning. She ended things with Adam that same night. One message, 45 minutes to write, that said only, "I am sorry. I cannot continue. Please do not contact me again." She thought it would feel like relief. It felt like cutting off an arm. A few days later, Ada went to the church, not on a Sunday, on a Wednesday afternoon when it was empty and quiet and nobody was watching. She sat in the front row, and she did not pray for a long time. She just sat, and when she finally spoke, she said she told me this herself and gave me permission to share it. "Lord, I know what I did. I know who I hurt. I am not asking you to excuse it. I am just asking you please to stay." That is not the prayer of someone performing. That is the prayer of someone who has finally stopped running. James did not leave. People were surprised. Some said he was weak. Some said he was foolish. James said, "I cannot forgive something I do not fully understand. So first I need to understand. Then I will decide." They went for counseling. It was hard, slow, uncomfortable work, but Ada told all of it, every part, because she had learned that a partial confession is just a smaller hiding place. Either you bring everything into the light or you are still choosing the darkness. James struggled. There were evenings she could see the wound in his face and knew she had put it there and could not take it back. But he stayed, not because he had forgotten, but because he decided deliberately, daily, that the woman who sat alone in an empty church and asked God just to stay was worth the difficulty. 1 year. Later, Ada stepped down from the women's fellowship, not permanently, just a season of sitting in the congregation instead of always standing at the front, a season of receiving instead of performing. She said it was the most honest thing she had done in 10 years. Let me tell you what Ada's story teaches us. First, a double life is not an escape from being lost. It is a more expensive way of staying lost. Ada did not need Adam. She needed the courage to say to James, "Something is not right and I need help." That conversation would have cost her so much less than 6 years of hiding. Second, performing faith is not the same as living faith. She was teaching the word every Saturday while hiding her life from God. And I say this not to condemn her, I say it because I know she is not the only one. Some of you watching this right now have a door you have not closed, a thing you have not brought into the light. I am not judging you. I am telling you it is heavy, and you do not have to keep carrying it alone. Third, mercy is not the same as exemption. God stayed with Ada. That is the miracle. But his staying did not erase the consequences. Mercy means you are not abandoned. It does not mean you are not accountable. Ada wrote this in her journal, about a year after everything. She gave me permission to read it to you. She wrote, "The most radical thing I have done this year is to be exactly who I am, in exactly the room I am in, with no door to another version of myself left quietly open. It is frightening, but it is also the first time I have felt clean in a very long time." If any part of this story recognizes you, if you are living with a door left open somewhere, hear me. The door can close. It is not too late, but you, not God, not your pastor, not your husband, you have to be the one to close it. That is Ada's story. I have told you all of it. If it touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave a comment. And if you are new here, subscribe to Betrayal Patterns. Every week I sit down and tell you a story. Real stories about real choices, and what those choices build or quietly, slowly destroy. I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves.